their first grand tour of the Commonwealth and joined the newly completed Britannia for the journey home.
When I was a young junior assistant cook on the Vanguard, we picked the yacht up off of Cornwall, I think, at Penzance, and we escorted the Britannia up to London as far as we could go on the Vanguard. But I shall never forget it, because being a young junior assistant cook, I was very privileged to see the yacht, and with all the fleet behind, sailing up the Channel.
We picked Winston Churchill up coming through the Channel, and then we went up and sailed up the Thames, and that was again absolutely glorious. The crowds that came out to see the Queen after her world tour was absolutely fantastic.
Britannia was a logo of a brand. This idea of branding Britain or rebranding Britain, branding the monarchy, isn't anything new. The triumph of the 20th century monarchy was that it had an extraordinarily clear brand. It was the family monarchy. The monarchy symbolised the one institution that bound us all from the top of the social tree to the bottom, and that was the great British family. And if you look at Britannia and shots of Britannia, photos of Britannia, they're really rather like the holidays in our National Family album.
There she goes, white and beautiful and lovely, this gleaming yacht heading down towards Tower Bridge. Can I try to sum up what we must all feel about the bride today? And as we see this last picture, just say, may the sun shine on her in the West Indies, and may it shine on her in all the years that lie beyond.
Princess Margaret's was
first.
60.
That was 60, was it?
Yeah.
60, yeah. That was a great success. We had rough weather going out, but once we got out there, it was, we had the press that used to hound us wherever we went from Ireland to Ireland. They even sent out planes, spotter planes from Trinidad. Didn't they?
That happened with every honeymoon, though.
The Britannia has been known in her time as the love boat, and she suits that role perfectly. She looks like a wedding cake, those 3 tiers, one atop of another. Even the interior feels like a wedding cake. She seems to be coated in icing sugar with delicate touches of gold sprinkled everywhere. She has seen 4 royal honeymoons, the marriages of which have ended in divorce.
Because we did the Princess Anne in the West Indies as well.
Captain Mark Phillips. We did
and we took them through the Panama, and in fact we dropped them off at Galapagos, and they flew back.
An experience at Galapagos. Yeah.
And then with the Princess of Wales and Prince Charles, we left Gib, and then it was that narrow entrance to the Mediterranean there. There was, power boats and airplanes, but I think they thought we were going to head straight east to the eastern Mediterranean. In fact, we went at night. We headed south and hugged the North African coast, and so they never found us at all.
The Duke and Duchess of York, we went to the Azores.
Well, I think wherever we went, we were handed by the press.
We had to be a little bit wary of what you said to the press, really.
On the one hand, the royal family is the greatest single public symbol. On the other hand, it jealously guards its privacy. And this is the deep irony. You use the yacht as a private retreat, a place that you have honeymoons, the most intimate of acts, private holidays, and so on. On the other hand, you use it as the great stage for monarchy, for public events. And I think this is the terrible problem of the monarchy, of Britannia, that what we chose to do with our 20th century monarchy was, in a sense, to turn them inside out. It wasn't Diana, for the first time, that put the private life into the public domain. The whole idea of a family monarchy involves putting, and this is the catch, a certain version, an edited, carefully doctored version of your private life into the public domain.
These were all done in the main passageway, and the photographs were all in the vestibule upstairs.
There are two endearing images about the Britannia that we all remember. The first, when she's at rest in dock, she seems to be bathed in a golden light. The second, as she's racing into her port of call, her flags fluttering, surrounded by a pack of unseemly hounds. She's a graceful lady. She seems to have her own time and her own space. For more than 40 years, Britannia made a constant progress round the Commonwealth, and every year the Commonwealth shrunk a little more. Each time the Queen and Prince Philip paid a visit, they received presents, ritual gifts from presidents and kings and chieftains.
The most wonderful collection of items here, I mean, from all over the Commonwealth. We think here it is now, coming back on board. Here we are, look at that, isn't that beautiful? It's lovely. With an engraved crown on it.
What do you give the woman who has everything? Something typical of your culture. After 50 years you end up with this, walls full of reminders of journeys to places that no longer owe you allegiance. And in 1997 she made her last such visit, and last great state visit to Hong Kong.
Minutes ago, the Prince of Wales and Governor Patton boarded the Royal Yacht Britannia, preparing to sail away from Hong Kong.
I mean, it might sound a bit trite to say it, but we had a job to do, and it was very important that every man on board knew that the eyes of the world were on Britannia. My, I think, abiding memory and final instruction really to everybody was to encourage them to do it well, but to do it slowly. There was no rush, and it was important that we took Britannia under great care and control out of Hong Kong, but without any unseemly haste. This was always how she was seen. There was no rain at the time, luckily. That had been earlier in the evening, and so a lovely tropical evening really saw us, no wind, no bad conditions at all, take Britannia away from Hong Kong.
We never thought the day would come, you know. To see the Queen standing there with tears in her eyes and Princess Anne, it really brought it back to you and think, well, should we do away with the Royal Yacht? And then we said, no, let's keep a Royal Yacht. And that's why we say we need another Royal Yacht.
They felt sad, of course they felt sad. They knew that there was life in this ship. They knew that with a refit there was potential for her. And so when you had something taken away, for whatever reasons they were, to the men themselves, they found that very hard to believe.
And the real killer punch was when, in fact, the ceremony was over and the director of music had told Her Majesty to band to carry on, and they carried on, supposedly just to march off the arena alongside the yacht, and they struck up Auld Lang Syne, and the director of music turned down and saluted the Royal Yacht as they marched off, and that was the killer blow. Yeah.
I've never actually seen such public expression of emotion from members of the royal family. Many people, perhaps rather unkindly, have compared their behaviour at the death of Diana with their behaviour not at the death of the royal yacht, but at the decommissioning of the royal yacht. I can understand why. They were burying or tearing themselves away from, being uprooted from 40 years of memories. And moreover, this thing which to them had been utterly personal, private, where many of their most intimate moments had taken place, what was going to happen to it? It was going to be put on public display and trampled over poured upon, spied upon by everybody. But of course, it was a public thing. It was, after all, paid for, run by, operated with public money.
The other royal residences, of course, they inherited, whereas Britannia was theirs, and they were able to fit her out and put such furniture in as they chose. And it's really their almost private ship. It was a very sad day. They were devoted to it.
And to finish this beach retreat, Auld Lang Syne, as Her Majesty's Band of the Royal Marines march off, saluting Britannia for the one and only time.
And as the band pays its last compliment to Britannia, it ends a tradition going back 340 years. Doing without a yacht is the first major change for the fabric of the monarchy in modern times, one that may be the beginning of an accelerating trend. Britannia herself, though, is retiring gracefully of old age, and the changed perceptions of the future don't need to alter the affection that she's been held in the past. From all of us here in Portsmouth, good night.
My opinion was that she should have been taken out and sunk in deep water. She had served her purpose, done a magnificent job, and to see her go off to a commercial use, which is what was going to happen, rather annoyed me.
It's very difficult to know exactly how you feel about this ship. Everything that she stands for, sometimes you hate. Everything that you hate, sometimes she makes endearing and loving. The thing that epitomises all the kind of contradictions and all the feelings you get about this ship was told to me by two old ladies who had went down to Clydeside to see her passing by for the last time. And they stood there with tear-filled eyes. And after about 10 minutes, they realised that they were up to their ankles in water because the tide had come in. But they were mesmerised by this passing ship because it was like a piece of their life passing by. And in a sense, she was like a mirror because she reflected not only their feelings, but the feelings of a nation.